So my name's Carrington. I've been at Google for about 10 years, and about 3.5 years ago I set up the mobile team because we saw a dramatic shift to people just buying and having and using and engaging on these fantastic devices that we carry everywhere with us. I think the pace of change that we've seen happening in mobile revolution or evolution has been astounding, and nothing shows it better than this slide. And incidentally, the slide that Alex said I stole earlier, this was the slide, but I didn't steal it. I saw that he had it in his presentation, and we tossed a coin for it, and I called heads, and I won, so I get to present the slide, so I was quite happy with that.
Google's good after all.
Thank you. But essentially this shows you the elections of the two popes in the last couple of years. So 7 years ago, you see when the Pope was elected here, you see one or two smartphones in that picture. You see some of them are kind of flip phones. Then if you fast forward just 7 years here to 2013 when the Pope got elected this year, you can see everyone's got a smartphone with them. Everyone's taking pictures, taking videos, consuming content, sharing content, reading content. Some people have even got tablets there as well. But essentially that's a fundamental shift. And we already see that in the world today, there's 1.5 billion people have smartphones. Now, in the UK, it's around 70% penetration of smartphones, and it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. With the exception of my mum, who's got an old kind of phone that I bought for her from Nokia for 20 quid, because she didn't want the smartphone capabilities. I think everyone's going to have a smartphone pretty soon. But it doesn't stop there as well. One thing that I've got recently is a thing called a jawbone, which is a wearable piece of technology. It helps me track my sleep, it helps me get better sleep at night times, it helps me monitor how far I walk and run during the day, and just helps me have a better lifestyle overall. And the average person in the UK now has 3.1 devices. Now that could be a smartphone, it could be a tablet, it could be a jawbone. At some point going forwards, it's going to be Google Glass, or it's going to be the phones that Apple have come out and patented. But essentially you're going to be even more connected than you are today. And already you're connected 24/7, you're never more than a few meters away from your mobile phone at any time during the day or night. But it's going to get more and more access to the internet all the time. And I'm personally very, very happy about that. I think the more people can access the internet, the better. And the more people who are accessing the internet on their mobile phones, they're doing it 150 times every single day. Just looking at the audience, I see some people are already on the count of about 5 or 6 in the 2 or 3 minutes that I've been presenting. But that's a good thing. Hopefully, you're sharing content, engaging content, and receiving content all the time on there. But that makes it quite difficult for Google. This is a picture of one of our Google centers over in America. And essentially, there's so much information in the world today because of smartphones, and just the general more and more people getting on the internet. But when you look at how much information there is, there's over 2 zettabytes of data. Does anyone know what a zettabyte of data is? No. It's 1 trillion gigs, right? So that's a lot of information. If you were to print off all the information on the web today and print it off onto standard A4 paper, it would reach the moon and back 27 times. And 90% of the world's content has been created in the last 2 years. Now that's astounding. There's just so many pictures being shared, so many reviews being read. But it makes it difficult for us because there's so much more information for us to search. But also, as Alex mentioned as well, that context is really, really important. When someone searches for information on a mobile phone, the context is different to when they search for it on a desktop PC. So a simple example there would be if you search for pizza on your mobile phone at 12 o'clock on Great Marlborough Street, you're probably looking for a pizza restaurant to go to. If you search for pizza at 7 o'clock in the evening in a suburban area on your desktop PC, you're probably looking for pizza to be delivered to you. But that's hard. We know that's intuitive to us, but how does a complex algorithm like Google figure these things out? Well, we actually think the mobile phone is the answer to that. We actually think that, and we call it Majel, based on the Star Trek computer from the original Star Trek series. But essentially people in Star Trek just said, computer, tell me the answer. We actually think people are just going to reach for their mobile phones and expect the answer straight away. So I'll give you a couple of examples of that. Does anyone know where this is? Amsterdam. So if we could just switch to the Wolf Vision. We used to be able to have a thing called Google Goggles, where you took a picture of that and it would tell you it was Amsterdam. And we think that visual search is very, very important, but we actually think that voice search is the most important thing. So this is my phone here. I'm just going to type in a search term into Google. Now, things to do in Amsterdam can be Thanks, it's quite hard to hold a microphone and do demonstrations, but I'll give it a go. But that should be good. So things to do in Amsterdam is quite a long search term. It takes a bit of time to type it in, it's a bit fiddly, sometimes when you go it's hard work. And we just think, why not just say it to your phone straight away? Things to do in Amsterdam. You can see here that I'm on 3G connection at the top, so I'm not on the Wi-Fi. It's always difficult to do these demonstrations when you're on 3G. I've only got one bar, so it could be a bit tricky. Okay, I always try and like to do them on 3G, but I'm actually going to switch to the Wi-Fi. So just, oh no, here we go. Clicked into 3 bars. You can see it's set, recognise the search term of things to do in Amsterdam, and it's now, hopefully in a few minutes, well not a few minutes, in a few seconds, just to do the search results. Okay, it's not doing that, I'm going to switch to Wi-Fi. Oh no, here we go. So I'm going to switch to Wi-Fi anyway because it's just so slow showing this information. And I think it's because we're in a darkened room, and it's taking a lot of time for the information to come through. And it's not displaying it quite properly, so I'm just going to switch to the Wi-Fi. Okay, you can see it coming through now. Along here, essentially, down here you've got the map, and you've got the standard search results about what to do in Amsterdam, sort of like the 20 greatest things to do in Amsterdam. But what we've got at the top here is a carousel of information. So essentially you've got lots of different things here, like the Anne Frank House, like the Van Gogh Museum. You've got things like the Olympic Arena where football's being played as well. Now, this is always, I'm just going to go to settings and go on to Wi-Fi. Because this is not working very well. So I work for Google, a technology company. You can see here that I've got grey at the top, the Wi-Fi is not working just at this moment in time. I'm going to try and come back to this. But essentially when you type in things to do in Amsterdam, you get a set of results, and you get very, very varied results. And we group them all together, even though Anne Frank House is very different to the Olympic Arena, it's very different to the Van Gogh Museum. We actually know what every single one of those things are through what we call a knowledge card. And essentially when you type in a search into Google, that knowledge card is displayed, and you get a lot of information back to you. And you can simply search that carousel and go along there and choose the relevant thing that you want to go to. Now that might not sound that impressive, particularly when the demonstration doesn't work. But if you're visiting Amsterdam and you just want something to do straight away, that information is there for you, and that's a very, very complicated algorithm that we do. So if we could go back to the slides. Fantastic. Now you can tell these are live demonstrations when they don't work. I'm going to try and come back to that. I'm going to check my phone and see if I can get onto the Wi-Fi. But essentially, because there's so much information out there, and because it's so difficult to find all that information, and because everyone's got a mobile phone, essentially we're seeing this consumer shift. We're seeing everyone move to mobile. And us, Google, we have a motto that we came out in 2010, where we have it, the motto is mobile first. And essentially whenever we're developing like tools or formats or features or products, we're designing them for mobile first, because we know that's the primary way that people are going to connect to the internet. In some countries like South Korea, Japan, and the more advanced mobile economies, we're actually seeing what we call a query flip happen today, where the most amount of queries are coming through from our mobile devices. You know, 3 years ago, when I started the mobile team, less than 5% of queries were coming through on mobile devices. Today in the UK, it's probably around 25–30%, but in some countries over in the East, it's actually above 50%, because that's the way that people are connecting to the internet. So we understand that, and we're developing our products and tools and everything for that going forwards as well. But we touched on this earlier with Alex as well. Like, you look at the amount of time being consumed on a mobile phone, then you can see in the UK it's 10.6 hours. You can see digital's higher, it's 16.8, and when you combine mobile and digital together, you can see that it's much bigger than TV. However, that TV is the primary way that people are consuming their media at this moment in time. But if you see how much money is actually being given to mobile in the UK, then we see it's around 2%. So there's a massive, massive disconnect there. People are consuming content, consuming media on their mobile phones, but budgets aren't going that way. And we think that's a shame, but we also think it's quite normal. We also know that when a new media comes along, it takes a while for people to get used to it, to understand it, to harness it, and for it to be as effective as possible. So we think, yeah, 2% is bad, but 2 years ago it was 0.5%. So it's growing very, very quickly, but we do think that delta between the 17% of time that's being spent on mobile phones and consumer media should close between the 2% that we're seeing with budgets coming to it. But we've got to prove the value of mobile for that to happen. We've got to prove it in terms of commerce, and we've got to prove it in terms of branding appeal. And they're the two areas I want to go into a bit more detail in the presentation today. So consumers expect information anywhere all the time. 64% of people are conducting research on the internet, whether it be via a desktop or via a PC, before they make a purchase. 45% of people, so a bit lower than what we're seeing in the US, but 45% of people are conducting research in a store. So essentially, they are checking out reviews, they're comparing prices, they're understanding delivery, fulfillment criteria, they're understanding whether it's in stock and many, many other things as well. But here's the killer stat, and that is that 20% of people change their mind in a store as a result of checking their mobile phone. Now, not a lot of customers are fully understanding that, and let me just show you an example about how I changed my mind in the store to actually buy a product. Because it's not always changing your mind to not buy a product, it can be a combination of both. So, I'm 41 years old, it was my 40th birthday last May, and essentially I wanted a TV. It was quite an expensive TV. I hadn't bought a TV, I think, since 2005, and all TVs have got bigger and thinner at that point in time. And I've been looking at this Samsung TV for a long time. I knew I wanted a Samsung, I think they make the best screens, but it was always just a bit too expensive for me. And then one bank holiday weekend, I went into, I think it was Curry's, or no, it was PC World, but all kind of same company these days. And I saw they had 20% off TVs off a certain price. So I went there and I scanned the barcode, very simply on my mobile phone. I did a price comparison in the store there, because I knew it was the TV I wanted. I was touching, I was feeling it. I compared the prices, I read the reviews, I knew it was the TV I wanted. But in actual fact, it was still a bit cheaper on the internet than it was in store. But I knew it was a bank holiday Monday. I knew I could take the TV away today from PC World. I knew that I could install it on the bank holiday Monday and get it all set up, no problem at all. So I did that very simply and easily, and it validated my purchase. But people don't understand that. People are not understanding the store experience, and people are coming and doing things like showrooming, where they're touching and feeling and comparing the products and then buying elsewhere. So you've got a unique opportunity to capture that customer when they're in that store and make that sale. Whether you're the store yourself or a competitor brand, you should own that moment of truth when people are looking for that particular product you sell. Now, I'm going to try one more demonstration very quickly. In fact, don't watch the Wolf Vision yet. I'm going to go to the Wolf Vision. I've got full signal there, you can see. So let me just try that things to do in Amsterdam again, see if it's working. Things to do in Amsterdam. No, it's fine. So you can see straight away it came up there. I've got this carousel of information that I can see there, and scroll along. Like I said, that gives you a lot of information. But I want to show you the barcode scanner, just so I can quite easily compare prices in the mobile in store. So if I launch my barcode scanner, then essentially it launches the barcode scanner there. What I'll do is I'll just come over here where the slide is. I'll scan the barcode that came up. You can see I didn't press anything there, I just carried it over. And straight away, it recognises it as the particular product. Straight away I can do a product search, or I can do a web search, and I can find out every single piece of information about that TV on there. And that's how I actually went and bought my TV. So understanding that in-store effect and the value that mobile gives is very, very important. As I say, it's really about understanding the full value of mobile and attributing the actual cost to mobile. So if we go back to the slides. So we know that 67% of people are moving across the different devices when making that purchase. We know that people are comparing in store as well. So we know that all these devices are kind of converging, and that 65% of people are starting on a phone, but then completing on a desktop or a tablet. Now we've actually launched something called the Full Value of Mobile. It's a free calculator that everyone can use themselves to really understand the true value of mobile. Excuse me. I touched on a couple of points there. So in store, You know, lots of people are buying products that are being validated by mobile in store, but mobile gets no recognition for that. The store gets recognition for that. We often see a lot of businesses don't have a true multi-channel approach, and the store gives no credit to the web or to the phone for making that sale. We think that's wrong, because people can bid up and pay more for that mobile banner or that mobile advert to drive people to store and to validate and confirm that purchase as well. We also know that, you know, many people will be in a store or they're out and about, and it's sometimes tricky to go on a non-mobile optimized website and make a purchase. So many people are actually picking up the phone, which is the primary function of the phone that you've got in your pocket, and making a call, and a purchase is going that way. And again, the mobile phone gets no credit for that. The call center gets credit for that. We also know that, you know, people are converting in apps as well, and that's a great way to have customers convert. But often people don't know the lifetime value of an app user, they don't know the average basket value of an app customer, they don't have a real app experience. And just while we're talking about apps, a lot of people ask me the question, should we have an app or should we have a mobile website? And the answer for me is that you should have both. The example that we give is that if you're stuck in an airport and you want to get the next flight home, you're not going to go to the iTunes store, download the Expedia app, open it on your phone, do a search for the next flight to London, and then book it in the app. You're just going to go straight to the mobile website and book there. And if Expedia have got a mobile website, great, you'll book by the flight. If they haven't got a mobile website, then maybe you'll go to someone who has got a mobile website. But if they have got the app, then they're not going to bother doing the search, because the app's got all their settings in there, it knows who they are, probably got their credit card details stored, and they'll make the purchase straight away in the app. So the way that we see it is that the app is for retention and loyalty, and the mobile web is about new customer acquisition and commerce. And that mobile web is really, really big. And we think, you know, we see some customers like eBay, where I think it's over 20% of all their sales are now coming through from the mobile phone. We know that they're a $10 billion business globally of mobile sales coming in there. But we also know that only about 50% of people in the UK have a mobile optimized website, and we think it should be much bigger, and we're trying to drive education there so people do have a mobile website. Just a quick show of hands. How many people here have bought something on their mobile phone? So that's pretty much everyone in the audience. How many people here have bought something at the value of £100 on their mobile phone? It's about half the audience. For me, it was like flights. Sometimes I buy flights on my mobile phone. Who here has got a mobile optimized website that makes it simple and easy for people to do that conversion on the mobile web? Okay, so about 10% of the room. And here you see that big disconnect, where lots of people, all of us in fact, are buying on mobile phones. Half of us are buying big ticket items on mobile phones. Only 5-10% of us actually make it simple and easy for that to happen by having a mobile optimized website. And then the final kind of leak that we see is cross-device. So all these things together mean that the mobile is not getting the true value of that sale or that purchase that is being made. And we're trying to change this. Like, we're trying to drive people to have mobile websites. We've launched cross-device tracking, so if someone starts on a phone but then it's not optimized, or they've got a bad 3G experience and they go home and complete on a desktop or a tablet later, we can track that user to understand who that user is, and again attribute and give value to the mobile phone. So we think that's really important, understanding the full value of mobile from a commerce perspective. But we also think it's important that people understand how the phones are being used at home as well, and how it can be used for branding opportunities. So essentially, this is something called sequential cross-screening, or dual screening, to give it its more normal term. And essentially what this is people at home, they're watching TV, and they've got their tablet or they've got their mobile phone, and they're consuming content at the same time. Sometimes it's related, and sometimes it's unrelated. Channel 4 understand that their users have got tablets and smartphones, and they're dual screening. And essentially what they've done is launched a game where you can play the £1 Million Drop at the same time as what's happening on TV. So you get the same questions on your mobile phone or tablet, you get the same amount of time to answer those questions, you get the same amount of money as the contestants at the start of the game. And essentially, you play the game along with them. You can get knocked out beforehand, and then you're just waiting for the next contestants to come on. Or you can actually go when the contestants get knocked out and carry on playing the game with your friends. When I played this a few months ago, there was around 40,000 people playing the game at the same time as I was. And the good thing is, as well, as you can share your results on Facebook and other social networks as well to show how many questions you got right, whether you beat your friends, and all those kind of things as well. So again, it's just understanding that the mobile user The context is that they're at home, they're happy to be shown information and play along with additional games like this, and it's a great experience again of brickballing your user into the brand. But we also know that mobile video is very, very important as well. So it's not just about the kind of dual screening, it's about people actually consuming content like video on their mobile phone themselves. I got my first mobile phone back in 1999, and in 2006 I got a Sony Ericsson, and it was about that big. I'm sure you remember back then smaller was better. And I got a video on it, and I watched the video back in 2006, and it was very pixelated, very low quality. The novelty factor was huge, and I really enjoyed watching the video. I thought I'd never ever watch a video on my mobile phone again. But then, you know, iPhone came out back in 2007, and then we started getting all the Android phones as well. As Alex was saying, we've got the phones, the phablets, the tablets, and it's great to consume video on them. They're all HD, it's all really engaging, the screen size are pretty big now as well. And in actual fact, we see around 20% of all smartphone owners are watching videos on their mobile phone. We see nearly a third of all YouTube videos are now on a mobile phone from our own internal stats as well. And it's a great way to consume content, and it's a great opportunity to engage users when they're leaning forward on a mobile phone just to watch that video. Now when people are watching TV, they're laying back, they're making cups of tea, they're chatting away. You don't really watch a video on a mobile phone for anything other than killing time and consuming that content, and you're very, very focused. I was in Amsterdam a few weeks ago, and someone called it Generation HD, which is Generation H down, head down basically, where you're just watching that tablet all the time. So let me show you an example of where we see some of the brands taking advantage of video and making it work for them. So let me just try and go to the Wolf region again. So this is a customer called Aldi that we worked with, and I'll just try and show you how this works. But essentially, we worked with them, and this is an advert that gets shown as an interstitial, so when a video is being loaded in an application, this particular advert comes up. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because people are very receptive to messages on their mobile phone, because often they're killing time and they're being super engaged on it. And when you see adverts like this, if it's going to come up, then it's a very engaging piece of content. So again, I just want to apologise because all these things worked perfectly in the demonstration earlier when I was practicing, but now it's just not working at all. So let me try and show you a different one. See if that's going to work. Okay, so this one works, and I'll come back to it in a second. Again, this is an advert that's being played in an interstitial, so when someone's about to watch a video. And essentially what it is it's an offer from Estée Lauder, and essentially it just shows that the user, they know that the user's on a mobile phone or a tablet, and you can press this button to say find me on GPS, and essentially it finds me where I am. And then it shows me where the nearest store is that has this offer for where I can buy the latest Lab Series skincare. Essentially you press the icon there, it tells you where it is, it tells you you can redeem your voucher there, you can press that button, you can get directions. And it's a great way of actually showing to a user, hey, you can buy this product today, hey, there's a discount, hey, we know you're a mobile phone and we're a progressive brand. So that was something that works really, really well, and I believe we got a 13% engagement rate from that. And essentially what that means is 13% of people who saw that advert being played while they're waiting for their video to load, clicked on it, engaged with it, started doing some of the actions like searching, finding out about the offers and finding where the nearest store was. So that was a very, very good engagement rate, and we were very, very happy with it. Let me see if the Aldi one works now as well. So here's the Aldi one. So again, this shows it as an interstitial. And it's a car configurator, so it allows people to play about with the car all within the application. So you can see at the moment it's red, but if you want to make it black, you just press that particular button there. If you want to change the wheels, if you want to have some nice alloys, you can go like that. If you want to make them a bit more, I don't know, a bit more ghetto maybe, then you can have alloys like that. And there's lots of interaction you can do. You can play the video, which is up here. You can find out about a test drive, which is up there. You can find your particular dealer showroom as well.
So again, it's a great way of brands to really show that they know, that they understand the users are on mobile devices, and it gives it a great experience. And the engagement rate on there was 18%, which means that 18% of people who saw that particular creative engaged with it, and it was the most successful piece of digital creative that Audi had done this year so far to date. So we were very, very proud of that, and to work with a customer like Audi. So that's it for my presentation now. I want to apologise for the demonstrations not working very well at all. Just shows you that it's live. It's sod's law. Like 9 times out of 10 when you do these, it works perfectly, and everyone comes up to you and says, "Oh, amazing demonstrations." Today, I'm just going to hold my head in shame and probably walk out without speaking to anyone. But that's the presentation. I hope you feel as positive about mobile as I do. I think it's a way that everyone's going to be connected to the internet in the future, and I think it presents a great opportunity for brands to engage their users. So go mobile, and thank you all very much for listening.